Good afternoon, friends. We'll discuss a completely new topic today, an interesting one. This is about made in Germany, Hindu gods. Now, many people know that sometimes Indians have imported idols and images from abroad. This keeps happening even now. If you go and examine the Vishnu or the Ram being sold in shops and turn it upside down, you'll see it's written made in China. But while that's better known, I'll introduce you to a subject of German Hindu gods, or Hindu gods made in Germany. To begin with, we need to understand that how porcelain came about in Europe. Now, porcelain was invented from kaolin clay in China by the Song dynasty. That's about 1,000 years or so old. The Song dynasty had a monopoly, and Europeans had to buy from them. So, china, cups, crockery, figurines, everything was sold. This went on, and various attempts were made by Europeans to imitate Chinese porcelain. And the first successful effort was made actually in 1796 by a person called Spode, who ground the bones of ox and mixed them up with clay. That's where you get the term bone china. Anyway, moving on to Germany, we find that at the end of the 19th century, Calcutta, somewhat in Bombay, and even in Shekhawat, that's in Rajasthan. Of course, almost all of them went from either Bombay or Kolkata, preferably Kolkata, because the Shekhawatis were mainly settled, the prosperous ones were settled in Kolkata. Now, we'll concentrate only on Kolkata today, and let me give you a few examples. This, for instance, is Annapurna. See, I don't know how clearly it will come up, but you can see her bowl, the bowl in her hand, and you can see her sari and her regal dress with a crown. But if you notice, her face is quite European. Or rather, this one, the face is sharp, if you notice. The next god I'll bring before you are Indra and Indrani or Sachi. As you can see, he is on his elephant and his wife sits in front, and he is painted in a dark color. Now, whatever it is, this again here, the faces, you can see the lady's face is pretty sharp. Why I'm mentioning this, I'll come to these sharp features a little later. They were more European. This Krishna is a much later product, but by then, Krishna, this was made in Germany, but by then Krishna's face had become a little roundish, more Indian than European. This one is a unique piece made for Calcutta, Kali. As you can see, she is in her usual attire and mode. But what is more interesting is, please notice Shiva. Shiva's face. Can you see his beard? Can you see his French cut? Let me see. French cut beard. Now, Shiva never had a French cut beard. This looks more like Jesus Christ or someone of a prophet of Europe, isn't it? Let me see it the other way around here. So, these features are the ones that attracted my attention to the subject when my wife Nandita brought these pieces from our house, the Basu Malliks of College Street. Now, this is Lakshmi. And again, if you notice, the face is very sharp. I'll bring it closer. The face is very sharp Aryan, because that is the way the Germans looked at these gods. Now, having shown you 5 gods, let's get to when these gods were imported into India and by whom. I can tell you about Calcutta, which was the major center of import. These were brought into Calcutta by the zamindars around 1880-90. How can we fix the period? Because they don't keep any records. Well, these originated from Ravi Verma's paintings. Now here is the interesting part. Ravi Verma was the first painter who used the modern European style to depict Hindu gods and Indian men and women. He did not discard watercolor or oil and paint on canvas. He kept the European modes, he kept the European styles, but his characters, deities, Shakuntala, whatever, are in typical Indian costume with Indian faces. So he, in a way, he is the first one to make mass publicity and mass copies. Because by the time he started his work, which is around 1873, chromolithography, the art of making color copies of images, had already come to India. But the best quality was about to come to India. It would come in the next 10 years or 5-10 years. But what was more interesting is that for typical good chromolithographic quality, you had to go to Europe. And Germany was the famous center. So next time you see an old print of Ravi Verma or Bamapada Mukherjee, Bamapada Banerjee, or even Dhurandhar, you may see that at the bottom it's written made in Germany. So these images of gods and goddesses were sent there, and I believe some of the Bengal zamindars started insisting that God be available to them in image form rather than in portrait form. And that is the time when they started copying. Now, Ravi Verma suffered all his life because of his plagiarism, because of copies, but what he perhaps did not understand, that the more copies and more circulation there was of his paintings, the more popular he became. In fact, Ravi Verma started a press in 1894 in Ghatkopar. So most of these images were transferred from India to Germany between 1774 and 1794. So in these 20 years. And towards the end of Ravi Verma's career, we get others coming in like Dhurandhar, who specialized in paintings of women and others. He did a few mythological characters, but that's not his fault. We get Bamapada Banerjee coming out of Calcutta studios, coming out with his version. So these were also printed there. So during the printing, the Germans got an idea of what Hindu gods and goddesses looked like. But the only problem is that they could not depict the exact face. Now, what do I mean by the sharp feature and others? Well, it's like this. Most Indian men and women are what we call round-faced, a little broader on the face. And the more upcountry you are, so-called more Aryan you are, the sharper is the feature. So you get a Wahida Rahman, you get all other old film stars of those days, even Nutan, who were very sharp featured, and that is known anthropologically as dolichocephalic, sharp features, more European, more Aryan. But India is a place of settlers, a land of settlers, so once they got settled in and mixed up with the population, most Indians have acquired the rounder face, so that's called brachycephalic. Ravi Verma's greatness lies in adopting the Indian face to Hindu gods. Because prior to him, we don't get mass circulation of gods. There were gods in the temples, there were gods in the caves, there were gods even in miniature paintings. But remember, none of these were freely available. It was only Ravi Verma and his chromolithographs, his oleographs, and even early offset prints that brought God out into circulation. Now, coming back to these porcelain images, these were in high demand in Kolkata around the 1880s, 1890s and continued till about 1920. We get firms like Rigaud, Bergman, and these are all available at their names are usually, and their numbers, as you can see, their names and numbers are usually etched at the bottom. These are now, of course, treated as antiques and they have a great value. But this is how these gods came into India and were popularized. Well, there was one copycat nation at that point of time, and that was Japan. The Japanese also tried to bring it, but the problem of Japan was that their paints did not last. As you can see, this one maybe more than maybe 150 years old, but the paint lasts. I suspect the paint lasts, but I suspect that this one could be, because the paint has peeled off and the face looks a little, this could be Japanese because there is no mark, there are just a few marks, identification marks. But the fact is the Japanese dolls or Japanese idols did not circulate so much as in the case of German ones. So next time you go to someone's house and you see these old images of gods preserved there, you have a fair idea that if there are telltale marks like the sharp nose, the sharp face, or a slightly quasi-European dress or style demeanor, that they could be, and the owners claim they are 100 years old, 200 years old, they could be actually the German gods and goddesses in India. Thank you.